It's time for Atomic Monsoon with your hosts, Jedi Stephanie.
Guess who's number one now?
Josh.
I didn't watch a single season of The Bachelor. Why is my who saying I want to watch The Bachelor?
And Psycho Andy.
My hands are only wet because I watched them. There's no other reason for that.
And now, it's Atomic Monsoon.
Hey, Andy.
Yes, Stephanie.
Do you remember that scene from Terminator 2 with the explosion and everything kind of going off like one big nuclear bomb?
I remember a lot of scenes from Terminator 2 with the big explosion and things going off like a nuclear bomb.
Do you know what that's called?
What's that?
An atomic monsoon!
Oh, jeez.
Dude, I literally just came up with that.
Yeah.
So bad.
Welcome to Atomic Monsoon, everybody.
And we're obviously going to be talking about Terminator 2 today, so there you go.
We are talking about Terminator 2. Before we get into that, we want to thank our friends at Def M Records, the Def M Records All-Stars, for providing our excellent intro music. Go check them out at defmrecords.bandcamp.com and find yourself some new music.
There you go.
Yeah. So we did a bunch of Star Wars stuff last week, and I thought, well, we should talk about my favorite movie.
And here we are.
We're going to do it. So
plus, we've mentioned Terminator 2 so many times on this show. We have yet to do a thing about it.
You know, it's funny. It's one of the when we talked about changing formats early on, when we stopped doing like, you know, hey, here's some nerd stuff that's coming out, and we started focusing on like a thing per episode. This was absolutely one of the ones that I wanted to do, and we just never got around to it. And so here we are. Episode 87, I think we are this week right now. So,
oh god,
yeah, finally, we get to do a thing about my favorite movie. So here we are. So you had not seen this movie before the last like 48 hours, right? Yes,
I have not.
Okay. Boy, but you said you did go on the Terminator the Experience, right?
Yes. So
Universal?
In 2011. In 2011, my family and I visited Universal Studios, Hollywood specifically, and we went and checked out all the cool experiences and rides, and one of the experiences was the Terminator 2 3D. And that was my first real exposure to the Terminator franchise and everything. I mean, I even have a photo of me on the motorcycle afterward, trying to look cool. That motorcycle was way too big for me, so it didn't work as well as I thought. But yeah. It was a really cool experience. It was probably one of my favorite things that we did that day at Universal.
Excellent. Yeah. So when I was a wee lad, my dad, I think the statute of limitations has passed on this. Also, my dad passed away, so it's fine. Had one of the descrambler boxes, so we basically were stealing pay-per-view cable. I don't know if we stole all of cable or just pay-per-view channels, but either way, this movie was on a lot on the pay-per-view stations in 1992. And so my brother and I watched this and RoboCop 2 all the damn time. And so probably by the time I was like 13, I'd seen this movie 100 times. Which, you know, probably has a lot to do with it being my favorite movie. But yeah, even watching it just a couple days ago, you know, of the list of my favorite movies, like, you know, the 86 Transformers animated movies on there, the 1990 Ninja Turtles movies on there, there's some other ones. And as much as I still like them, I know that they don't really hold up. You know, like they're kids movies for sure. I still feel like this movie holds up really well. 29 years after its release. So yeah. Anyways, so Terminator 2 came out on July 3rd, 1991. It had a premiere 2 days earlier on July 1st. The budget was somewhere between $94 and $102 million, depending on who you ask, which at the time was the most expensive film ever made. And its box office return was $520.8 million, which is over 5 times its production budget.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. So, needless to say, a unqualified success. It was the highest grossing film of 1991, and it was the highest grossing R-rated film for the next 12 years, when it was finally beaten by The Matrix Reloaded, which was the first of the Matrix sequels, I believe. It received Academy Awards for Best Sound Effects, Best Sound, Best Makeup, and Best Visual Effects. I'm sorry, Best Sound Effects Editing.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and then there were 4 other movies that came out after this movie because of how successful it was. They are
Whoa.
of varying quality.
Fair.
I don't feel like any of them are as good as this one,
Mhm.
but yeah. Also, this movie itself, there's a big 2 in that title, right? Terminator 2, Judgment Day. It's a
Yes.
sequel to the first Terminator movie from 1984, so 7 years earlier. I think I've said before on the show, I'm not a big fan of the first Terminator movie. Like, it's fine. There's nothing inherently wrong with it, but it doesn't catch me like this movie did.
Okay.
So, yeah. Did you have any I want to do like a quick recap of the movie, and then we can talk about like our favorite parts maybe
Yeah, that sounds good.
and stuff we liked. Okay. Did you have
Yeah.
anything you wanted to throw out before we go into that?
Nothing. I got nothing for you.
Okay. All right, cool. So this movie opens with a scene of the Future War in 2029, which is 2 years after the Future War scenes from the first Terminator movie. So that means after 2 years, they're still fighting. The humans and the machines are still fighting. Narration from Sarah Connor lets us know that on August 29th, 1997, Judgment Day happened. The far future of 1997.
Yep.
On that day, 3 billion human lives were lost. Now, in 1991, when this movie came out, we were not quite up to 6 billion humans on the planet. So we're talking half the population of the Earth was just gone.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's why Judgment Day is a big deal.
Yeah.
And then the opening credits happen. There's an electrical storm, and we see a big naked Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was the villain in the first Terminator movie. He, gets up, goes into a bar, and asks someone for your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle. A fight ensues, and Schwarzenegger wins, of course, because he's Arnold Schwarzenegger and he's the star of the movie. Rides off rides off on a guy's Harley. With Bad to the Bone by George Thorogood and the Destroyers playing.
Yes.
Because it's 1991 and that was the most badass song that existed at the time.
Yep.
Cut to a second electrical storm and another naked man who is much slimmer than Schwarzenegger, but still muscular. He appears and a police officer goes to investigate, and this guy looks like just punches the cop in the stomach. But next, they cut to a scene of him, of the time traveler guy in a police uniform, and he starts looking up on the computer where John Connor is. So, interesting point of fact here: the movie came out in 1991, but the movie or that's the computer screen in the cop car, the database he's looking up there, says that John Connor's date of birth is 1985 and that he's 10 years old, which means that this movie has to take place in 1995.
So it takes place 4 years in the future?
It takes place 4 years in the future from when it was released. Yeah.
Okay.
But also 11 years after the first Terminator movie.
Sure. He is the oldest looking 10-year-old I've ever seen.
So Edward Furlong, who played John Connor, was 13 when they filmed this movie.
That's why.
So he is a little bit older. But yeah. Speaking of John Connor, he is working in his foster parents' garage on his moped with his buddy Tim, who is played by Danny Cooksey. Danny Cooksey is probably best known for playing Bobby Budnick on the Nickelodeon show Salute Your Shorts. He is also the voice of Montana Max on Tiny Toon Adventures.
Got it.
So he's been around. He's been in some bands. He's actually done a lot more voice acting, but Montana Max is the only voice I can ever think of off the top of my head. So they ignore John's foster parents and drive off on the moped while listening to "You Could Be Mine" by Guns N' Roses from the Use Your Illusion 2 album, I believe. That song, the music video for that song has a bunch of clips from the movie interspersed into it. And it's about a Terminator going to a Guns N' Roses concert to take out a target. It's pretty fun. It's not released on any of the home video releases except for the 3-disc Laserdisc edition, because of licensing issues with Guns N' Roses and them just being kind of weird. So
Okay.
Yeah, but it's out there.
Yeah.
We cut to Sarah Connor, who's in the mental institute, and she's doing pull-ups on her overturned bed. And then, we kind of get introduced to the people that work at the Pescadero Mental Institute. It's maybe not the most up and up institution.
Nah.
The guy who was dressed as a police officer shows up to Todd and Janelle, John's foster parents' house. They give him a photo. This guy seems nice enough. He just, has to ask John some questions. And they mention, hey, a big guy on a bike was looking for John earlier too. Does it have anything to do with that? And he goes, nah, don't worry about him. Cut to John and Tim. They're hacking an ATM with an Atari portfolio. So this is a thing that has puzzled me for the last 20-something years.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally decided the other night I should look up what this thing is. So the Atari portfolio was released in 1989, and it's a cross between like a Palm Pilot and a laptop computer.
Interesting.
Yeah, so Palm Pilots, for any of our listeners too young to remember those, they were little handheld devices that were a little bit bigger than an iPhone would be today. And they were used for note-taking and phone book storage and I mean, the kinds of things you'd use the notepad on your phone for today.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, by the time like the 2000s rolled around, Palm Pilots were just irrelevant. We don't need them. But at the time this movie came out, this would have been, a thing that had only been out for a couple years. They were portable. They ran on a few AAA batteries. They had memory cards that required watch batteries to power them.
Oh my God.
With the article I found for this thing has a picture of one with a 64 kilobyte memory.
Jeez.
Yeah. The sound file for this episode of Atomic Monsoon is like thousands of times as big as the amount of memory on these things. But John uses it to hack the ATM. So
there you go.
Yeah. So I know I gave you access to a digital version of this movie, Stephanie, but I don't remember which version of the movie is on that digital version.
It is the special edition.
Right.
Extended.
The problem is that there's like 3 special editions of this movie. So right here, there is a deleted scene that has been added back into some versions where Sarah in her hospital bed dreams about seeing Kyle Reese, who is John's father.
That was in this one.
That was in this one. Okay. Yeah, this scene was not in the theatrical release. So John's father, Kyle, reminds her the message of the future. The future is not set. There is no fate, but that what we make for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Which is an ongoing theme.
Yeah.
We go into showing Sarah. Sarah has a bit of a nightmare. She wakes up. They cut to her being interviewed by Dr. Silberman, and they talk about her maybe being transferred to the minimum security wing so that she can have visitors, including her son. Silberman says, I know how smart you are, Sarah, and I know you just try to escape again, so we're going to set revisitation on these methods on this matter for 6 months from now.
Jeez.
She does not take that news. So here's the thing, is that it sucks that Sarah is locked up and can't see her son for another 6 months. But when you look at it from the point of view of everyone else, this is a woman that tried to blow up a computer factory because she thinks that machines are coming back in time to kill her and her son.
Yeah, no, like in that perspective, it is absolutely ridiculous. But at the same time, it's also a thing of where, sentimental heart over here is like, no, let her see her son.
For sure. Right. And it's one of those things where the audience knows things that the characters don't know. Like, we know she's correct because that's the world of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't know. And let's be honest, if any of us, we heard a news report of this woman that tried to blow up a computer factory because machines from the future are trying to come back and kill me and my family. Like, yeah, we'd all say lock her up too.
Yeah.
And yeah, if it's going to take a couple of years for her to get through therapy, fine. Like, she's too dangerous to be on the streets. So I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sucks, but I get it.
Mm-hmm.
There is a quick shot of Miles Dyson, who unlocks a vault to give access to a microchip and a robotic skeletal hand.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I'm assuming that's from the first movie, right?
that is, yeah.
Okay.
So John and Tim are riding around. They're spotted by Schwarzenegger and the police impersonator. Actually, the police impersonator goes and asks a couple of young girls on the street if they've seen this boy. One of those young girls is Nikki Cox, who is in like an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation as an alien. She's got a bunch of makeup on so you can recognize her. And then she was in the WB sitcom from the mid-90s called Unhappily Ever After, where she was just like this crazy knockout bombshell redhead teenager. She went on to have a couple of other small TV shows and some movie appearances, and then her career kind of fizzled out after a few years. But this was, along with that Star Trek episode, like kind of the beginning of her acting career. And it's sort of neat that, this random celebrity is also in this movie.
Yeah.
So John and Budnick are at the arcade playing some games, and the machine or the police officer is going around the machines asking kids, "Hey, have you seen this boy?" And my roommate and I were watching this the other night, and I was like, "Man, when the T-1000 goes over and asks John's friend, like, hey, have you seen this guy?" And he goes, "Nah, I don't know him." It's like, man, that's a good friend.
That's a good friend.
Like, you just robbed an ATM. And like, okay, so first of all, don't break the law, obviously.
Don't.
Like, be good people, right?
Yeah.
But if you did just rob an ATM and a cop shows up and asks you if you know this person and it's a picture of your friend and your friend's right there, yeah, don't rat your friend out because you're going down too.
Yep.
Yeah. So John bails out the back of the arcade, and he's followed by this police officer guy, and then he runs into Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator, who rescues John.
Yes.
So now, one of the things about this movie is that, if you watch it just as a direct sequel to the first movie with no outside world knowledge of any of these, you would think Schwarzenegger is the bad guy there to kill John.
Yes.
Right? And the guy dressed like a cop is probably the good guy who's there to, protect and serve. And then you get to the scene where they're in the back hallway in a mall, and the one doing the saving is Schwarzenegger, the guy who you would think was sent back in time to murder this kid. However, all of the marketing for this movie very much was like Schwarzenegger saying like, yeah, I'm playing the good guy this time. Like all the late night talk shows, he was like, yeah, no, I want to be the Terminator and I'm going to be the good guy. And I know that's a terrible Schwarzenegger impression. And like one of the trailers is even the shot, the scene of him being like, I swear I will not kill anybody. And it's like, okay, well, you sort of just you just took all the piss out of that twist there, guy. But okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Some fighting ensues. It turns into a chase scene. Schwarzenegger grabs Schwarzenegger's on his bike. The T-1000, as we later find out it's called, the guy in the cop outfit, he jumps into what is a black Freightliner cab-over engine FLA semi-truck. Stephanie, can you imagine why I would note what kind of semi-truck that is?
I mean, aside from the fact of what it does during this scene, but I'm just going to take a wild shot in the dark here. Does that have anything to do with the fact that it's a big Mack truck that looks like kind of Optimus Prime-ish?
Oh, not kind of. That's the vehicle that the original Optimus Prime toy transforms into. It's
nice.
It's the exact make, model, and year. It's just black instead of red.
Got it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, Andy would only point that out if it had something to do with Transformers. So
totally true. Yeah, why would Andy know anything about cars unless it's a Transformer?
Yep.
By the way, since I'm making a Transformers reference, I'll be fair. All of the special effects in this movie, all the computer effects in this movie were done by Industrial Light and Magic, which is at the time was part of Lucasfilm.
Yep.
And all of the audio was recorded at the Skywalker Sound Studios. So
sweet.
There you go. We got some Transformers and some Star Wars references in the Terminator episode.
Yeah. So there are a lot of movies, even those not done by Disney or Lucasfilm or Marvel that have used industrial light and magic
Oh,
for
sure. Yeah.
used ILM for their movies and
This
everything, and
is one of
Skywalker
them.
sound.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. This was done by Carolco Films, which has nothing to do with Disney or Marvel
nope.
or Lucasfilm. Like, it was just, hey, ILM was the best place to do special effects at the time. So
Yep.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, the T-1000 gets in Optimus.
I
And
want a drawing of that now.
yeah, and chases John around on his little moped. And so John takes a shortcut and drives down into like the wash area there.
Mm-hmm.
And the best shot of the movie is the one where the T-1000 drives the truck off the side of the bridge, crashing through the little brick wall, and just crashes down to continue the chase scene.
Yep.
I don't care. It's the best shot of the movie.
Okay.
It is immediately followed by the second best shot of the movie, where Arnold Schwarzenegger on his Harley makes the jump off the bridge into the wash to continue the chase scene.
Yep.
It was not actually Schwarzenegger. It was his stunt double, but with his hairstyle the way that it was, and all the black leather jacket and everything, and the sunglasses, like they look a lot alike.
Mm-hmm.
So even though you're directly looking at his face, I've seen this movie in theaters, it's still like, yeah, that's the Terminator. I'm not even going to question that.
Yeah.
It's only because I've seen this movie so many times that, yeah.
Yeah.
So the chase continues. Eventually, the Terminator grabs John, puts him on his bike. They zip past, and the T-1000 loses control. Oh, Arnold shoots out one of the tires of the truck, is what happens. So T-1000 loses control, crashes into one of the support beams, and it breaks the gas tank on the side, and one of the sparks from the metal scraping causes a big explosion, and they drive off, and heroes are fine. And then we see through the fire a being that looks like the Silver Surfer walking out of the fire and then reverting to humanoid form, and it's the T-1000.
Mm-hmm.
John and the Terminator talk and discuss, like, yes, I'm a Terminator stuff in the future. You sent me back to protect you. The other thing is the T-1000. They go over all the it's just a bunch of exposition. There's a deleted scene in there where we see the T-1000 stealing a cop car from the scene of the accident. So we know, okay, cool, that's how this guy's going to get around from now on. John calls back home to make sure his foster parents are okay, and we basically immediately find out, like, nope, the T-1000 went to your house and killed your parents.
And then the dog.
Yeah, so that's a deleted scene. Is that over the phone call they call the dog by the wrong name, Wolfie, and then the T-1000 goes out to shut the dog up and kills him. And we see that he's got a collar that says Max and not Wolfie, like he was over the phone. So that's the T-1000's tip that, okay, that they're messing with me now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that scene probably should have been deleted, and I kind of would have liked if it did not get reinserted. But
yeah,
the T-1000 is an unkilling, uncaring machine from the future.
But no actual dogs were hurt in the making of this movie.
No actual dogs were hurt in the filming of this movie. No,
you actually don't even see. You actually don't even see what happens. You just hear noises and then see collar with blood. That's all you see.
Yep. Yeah, it's it's fine. I mean, it sucks. Like, I don't want them to kill the dog, but
yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a movie. The police interrogate Sarah. Police show up to the mental institute and interrogate Sarah about, this guy who went on the killing spree in 1984 reappearing in the mall today. Also, her son is missing. She remains silent, but sneakily steals a paperclip while they're interrogating her.
Yes.
Some more, cut back to some more of the exposition with John and the Terminator, including a great scene where he says, stand on one leg. And then, that's fun. Cut back to Sarah. She uses the paperclip to escape. Also, as she's getting locked up in her restraints, the orderly just licks her face in the most disgusting way possible.
I loudly and verbally went, ew, ew, ew.
Yeah. As it was happening, my roommate goes, that guy gets killed, right?
I was legit hoping, because I knew she had the paperclip. I was legit hoping that she already had it undone, and that when he would do that, she would just stab him in the neck, like just.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
she didn't.
So when she escapes, she breaks a mop handle and just beats the shit out of the guy with it.
Muffins.
Uh, I don't think she killed him, but she did lock him back in her room. So with a broken face. So
Yeah.
he's not going to have a good day.
No.
He is going to think twice before abusing any inmates again. The Team 1000 infiltrates the mental institution, and we get a fun scene with Dawn and Dan Stanton, who are identical twins that will occasionally appear in sci-fi movies when they need, duplicates of each other, including in Gremlins 2: The New Batch, where they appear as clones in the genetics lab alongside Christopher Lee. So, yeah, which Gremlins 2 also came out around the same time, like within a couple years of T2. So it was like, oh, well, look at these guys getting to be in a couple of big like sci-fi movies like right in a row. So good for them. Sarah gets to Dr. Silverman and attacks him with the nightstick, breaks his arm. She says there are 215 bones in the human body. That's one. Arnold tells John he swears he will not kill anyone, and then immediately shoots a guard in the knees.
He didn't kill him.
He didn't kill him. He then says he'll live. Not to get political, man, I kind of feel like maybe some more people in law enforcement should take that tactic. Maybe aim for non-lethal parts of the body to stop people that you disagree with.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. Be a good person, kids.
Yes, please do.
Sarah tries to break out. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. That was like, it's the breakout scene.
Yeah. Sarah tries to she has a syringe full of Drano in Dr. Silverman's neck. She tries to get out. One of the orderlies manages to pull the syringe out of Dr. Silverman's neck with nothing going wrong. Sarah tries to escape. She does a really good job. One of the things about Sarah Connor is that with all of her military training she's done between the two movies is she's really good at keeping track of where she is at all times. And she knows exactly how to get away. And I'm sure she has studied the layout of that building, through all of her parole visits and everything multiple times. So she is running through and locking doors. And the best part is when there's kind of that prison door with the bars. And she runs through and reaches in and locks it and breaks the key off in the lock so that there's no way that they're going to be able to get through that quickly. So she manages to escape and get to the elevator. And the elevator door opens and there's a Terminator.
Yep.
Which, that's gross. That's not a thing you want to see.
Yeah.
So she runs the other way and is caught by the orderlies. The Terminator rescues her by beating up all the orderlies by throwing them into walls and through windows and stuff. And then says to her, "Come with me if you want to live." That line is the first line that Kyle Reese says to her in the first movie when she's trying to escape from the Terminator.
Got it. So
immediately that's messing with her brain because, this thing that's trying to kill me is now saying the thing that the guy that saved me from this thing, what? So, yeah. And then there's a great shot where the T-1000 is there and it just walks through the prison bar door. Just walks through the doors. They all get away and there's a big chase scene. And they escape to mechanics garage gas station kind of place. Meanwhile, the T-1000 finds a motorcycle with the great line, "Say, that's a nice bike."
Yep.
Yeah. So here in the theatrical release of the movie, there is a scene where they're talking and pulling all the bullet slugs out of the Terminator and patching everyone up. And they ask him about, can you be more human? And he goes, "Oh, my brain is a neural net processor. It's a learning computer."
Yeah.
And that's it. This version of the movie, the extended version, has the much better scene where they have to open up the Terminator's head, pull out his CPU, and switch him to learning mode.
Yeah.
And Sarah wants to just end it right there. She pulls the chip out and goes to smash it with a hammer, and John's like, hey, if I'm supposed to be this great military leader, maybe you should listen to my ideas. We need this guy to survive.
Yeah.
The other thing that's great about this shot is that even though the camera pans around and you're looking in the mirror of the work that they're doing to open up the Terminator's head, there's no mirror there because it would pick up the camera. So what they did is they built a double set. And so the Sarah that's closer to the camera is working with Schwarzenegger's stunt double. And in the mirror, you're seeing Linda Hamilton's twin sister, Leslie Hamilton, working with Schwarzenegger. And they synced up their movements perfectly so that they could get that shot with the pan around the mirror. And then it got deleted from the final version of the film.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, that's not a trick that's normally...
No.
Normally, most directors would be like, screw the shot, it won't work, use, the camera, or you just edit, and I guess now, because they have the technology, you can actually just scribble out the camera in the background and just the shot still moves.
Now you could do that, but not in 1991 you couldn't.
No, you couldn't in 1991. Oh my
right?
God.
And so, they were talking about this scene, and they were like trying to find actresses that looked like Linda Hamilton. She's like, I have a twin sister. And they're like, wait, what? So yeah, they got her twin sister. Like, they're not identical twins, but they look very close. There's some scenes at the end of the movie where the T-1000 is also Sarah, right? And you see the two of them on screen together, and it's like, there's two Sarah Connors there because it's Linda and Leslie Hamilton right next to each other.
Wow.
Yeah. So just kind of one of those lucky things where, like, they didn't know they were going to have a shape-shifting bad guy in this second movie, and it just turned out she happened to have a twin sister. So, yeah.
Well, there you go.
They cut to the next morning. There's a deleted scene in here where John tries to teach the Terminator how to smile.
Oh, yeah, that was cringe.
It is. Yeah, I wrote down it's hilarious and terrifying at the same time.
Yep.
This is taking a lot longer, but
I think we can just kind of like speed through this and then.
Yeah, fortunately, there's not like as many details from here on.
Yeah.
We do see they're taking off. They're going to Sarah's friend's house to get her stuff, and the Terminator explains who Miles Bennett Dyson is. Who is the guy that created the neural net processor that would eventually become Skynet, that would eventually cause Judgment Day, that would eventually, try to take out all of the humans. They go to her friend Enrique's place to pick up all of her weapons. And we can see during that scene that John and the Terminator are just having like conversation. Like John's just kind of using the Terminator as a sounding board, but also sort of teaching him how to be more human.
Yeah.
And, cut to Sarah's nightmare, where she just sees the Judgment Day explosion happen. On the playground, there is also a happy younger Sarah Connor with a small boy who is supposed to be like a younger John. That boy is actually Linda Hamilton's real life son.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice. Isn't that now that's the scene with her at the fence and the explosion hitting her, and that's the scene that's become a meme now.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks to this year. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's always been an Arizona in the middle of summer meme, just
for sure. Yeah.
But
yeah. So Sarah goes to Dyson's house to kill him, to stop Judgment Day. And it's kind of crazy watching that scene because you see just how methodical and how, machine-like she is in her assassination attempt. And she's there, and her finger is pulling the trigger back to end his life, to stop everything from happening. And then, I don't know, I interpret the scene as Sarah realizing what she's doing and what she's becoming. And it's the very thing she's trying to stop from happening.
Yeah.
So she's kind of in this weird catch-22 dilemma, right? Like, hey, if I kill this guy, it stops the future and the Terminators, but by doing it, I'm becoming a Terminator.
Yes.
Like, boy, that screws with your head. So John and the Terminator show up and show Dyson the mechanical hand and everything, and they explain, the history of the future. And there's a great narration from Sarah. She's like, it's not every day you find out you're responsible for 3 billion deaths. He took it pretty well.
Hmm.
Which Dyson then says, I feel like I'm going to throw up. So they all break into Cyberdyne and, go to destroy everything. John then uses his Atari portfolio to get the key, to get into the vault, to get the chip and the arm from the first Terminator, so no one can follow in Dyson's work. The police show up, and there's a great line. He's like, we got company. The police? Yeah. How many? All of them, I think. Because, all of them.
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger then goes out to the window with a minigun. It is an M134 minigun, which is a 7.62 by 51 millimeter NATO 6-barrel rotary machine gun with a rate of fire of 2,000 to 6,000 rounds per minute, which is between 33 and 100 rounds per second. That gun cannot be held by a person by hand. That is specifically a thing made for movies. That gun weighs almost 90 pounds.
Damn.
Plus 9 yards of bullets.
Oy.
When they say the whole 9 yards, that phrase, the whole 9 yards, they're literally talking to the bullet straps that go in miniguns, which are 9 yards long. So
I learned something new today, kids.
Yeah.
I learned something new.
Yeah. So that gun, I mean, it's a really cool visual. But for movies, they slow down the rate of fire so that the audience can see the spinning turret. And they use blanks so that the recoil isn't as bad. But yeah, like there might be a person that is strong enough to both hold up that 90-pound, 87-pound gun, whatever it is, and deal with the recoil, but not when it's shooting 100 rounds a second.
No.
So yeah, it's in a lot of movies, a lot of video games. Captain America and Winter Soldier has one. The seventh Fast and the Furious movie, The Rock is firing one. I think he has one in the G.I. Joe movie he's in as well.
Okay.
It's in like Team Fortress 2, Grand Theft Auto. Like it's become a thing in popular fiction, but no, that gun's not real.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. Also, you're not going to be shooting 6,000 rounds a minute at all of the Los Angeles police and not murder anybody.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. It's science fiction, but like,
But still.
No. Let's see. So there's a big chase scene. So they get away from the police. Dyson. So they're getting away, and the police, like a SWAT team, arrives, and they just barge in, guns blazing. They shoot Miles Dyson. And Dyson is holding a piece of what is the model of the neural net CPU over the detonator for the explosives that they've all set. And he says, I don't know how much longer I can hold this. The SWAT team gets out. The Connors and the Terminator are out of there. They think Dyson's already dead. And we see his heart give out, which means his arm drops, which means he hits the detonator, which means the Cyberdyne building explodes.
Damn.
Yeah. So Miles Dyson is dead, and there is no possible way for his work to continue now, except for the T-800 and the T-1000.
Yeah.
The T-1000 gives chase to the heroes in a helicopter. So they're in like a SWAT van, and then he gets in a helicopter. In also one of the coolest scenes in the movie, where he jumps his motorcycle out of a window onto the side of a helicopter and then crashes through, and as he's liquid metal, tells the pilot to get out, and then the guy just jumps out of the helicopter.
Oh god, yeah.
Chasing continues. The T-1000 smashes the back of the helicopter. Oh, also when T-1000's piloting the helicopter, it's subtle, but if you look carefully, you can see he's grown a third hand to work the flight stick while he's using his other two hands on the machine gun he's firing at the heroes. So,
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like I didn't notice the first many times I watched the movie, and I was like, wait, he's got a third hand. So yeah, he crashes the helicopter into the back of the police truck. The heroes escape by getting into a just like a beat up pickup truck for a gardening company. This one poor guy. T-1000 meanwhile reforms and steals a tanker truck that's full of liquid nitrogen. The chase continues. Schwarzenegger eventually crawls out of the back of the truck he's in onto the cab of the tanker truck and just unloads a machine gun into the T-1000's face in, again, one of the coolest shots of the movie. He turns the wheel so the truck jackknifes, and it lands on its side, and they all crash into the steel mill. The tanker truck breaks in half, the liquid nitrogen goes everywhere, and the extreme cold freezes the T-1000's mimetic polyalloy structure. And Schwarzenegger shoots him with the "Hasta la vista, baby" line, and he shatters into millions of pieces. However, the heat from the molten steel immediately melts all of the frozen bits. T-1000 reforms. The Terminator's battle, it looks like Schwarzenegger is taken offline as the T-1000 starts chasing the Connors around and imitate Sarah with the Leslie Hamilton cameos. We can see the T-1000 reverts to his auxiliary power, comes back online, and there is one final showdown on the catwalks where the T-800, Schwarzenegger shoots the T-1000 with his grenade gun, causing him to explode from the inside. The T-1000 falls into the molten steel and is terminated. The Connors then throw the Terminator 1 chip and arm into the steel, and Schwarzenegger says, well, there's one more chip, but I can't self-terminate. So he asks Sarah to lower him into the steel. John orders him not to go, but Terminator's already learned the danger that his very existence can mean for humanity. And as he melts, he gives a thumbs up. And the last line of the movie, the unknown future rolls towards us. I face it for the first time with a sense of hope. Because if a machine, a Terminator, can learn the value of human life, maybe we can too.
And then the audience goes crazy.
Yeah. So that was not as fast of a recap as I planned on it being, but
Nah.
It's a 2.5 hour movie. So
it is.
The fact that I condensed it to like a half hour is still pretty good.
That's very impressive.
So yeah. So hey, there's all my favorite scenes and parts of the movie.
So the entire movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did you think?
So, what's weird?
I mean, lots of things, but please go on.
I mean, yes, a lot of things are weird. I'm one of those things. You're one of those things. A lot of people are one of those things. But no, and it's not bad being weird. No, what was weird was that, so I was watching the movie, and for one thing, I will say this right off the bat. I did really like it. I did really enjoy it, and I could see why a kid growing up in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s would thoroughly enjoy this movie. Obviously, this was at least a few years before my time.
Sure. Yeah.
So, also kind of glad Judgment Day didn't exactly happen, because then I would only live to be 2 years old, and then everything would blow up. So,
I mean, yeah. Yeah.
No, it was a really good movie. I had a couple of chuckles and laughs. There were a couple of points where I was just like, you can't get away with that shit now, but okay.
For sure.
But I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. But the thing that was weird was that when I was watching it, I came to the realization that I may have watched this before.
Really?
And here's the reason why I say that, because I recognized at least several different scenes. Like fully, like the full scenes from like one end to the other of it. And I was just like, how do I recognize these scenes? Some of them I'm pretty sure I saw, like watching some YouTube videos, like, top 10
for sure
explosions in movies or whatever.
Yeah.
There's probably some things like that where I've seen it, but it was weird because there were certain elements, scenes, and moments, like the very beginning with, Arnold Schwarzenegger in the bar and the T-1000 showing up and the Terminator trying to save Sarah at the mental institution and the car chase scene with the Mack truck and, and even like a few bits at the end. And I'm sitting there and I'm going like, have I actually seen this before? And I'm just now remembering? Because it's possible. It could have been on TV when I was a kid and I walked in and saw my parents watching it and just never put the pieces together. But it was a weird deja vu moment when watching this movie.
Crazy. Well, cool.
Or you showed me scenes and I don't remember when you did.
Yeah, that's entirely possible too. I mean, with our desks next to each other for like a year and a half, we certainly showed each other a lot of cool movie clips. So
it's true.
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, this is my favorite movie. Somehow I ended up with like 9 or 10 copies of this movie, which is funny because I've only bought it once on each platform. And people keep buying me different versions for birthdays and Christmas because they think it's funny that I would have every version of, like, I bought it once on VHS. I bought it once on DVD. It was the first DVD I bought, actually. I bought it once on Laserdisc because it was before I had a Laserdisc player, and I thought, it'd be funny to have my favorite movie on Laserdisc. It was like $4.
Mhm.
And then one of my friends got me a copy of it, before I owned a Blu-ray player. So
Ah.
I had the DVD and I had the Laserdisc and the Blu-ray, and I couldn't watch either one of them. And so that was pretty funny. And then friends keep buying me, like, I actually ended up with every version on Laserdisc because people coincidentally kept buying me different versions. So
Wow.
yeah, one of my friends bought me 2 years in a row for Christmas, got me the Sega Genesis version
Mhm.
because there are 2 versions of Terminator 2 on Sega Genesis.
Wow.
And then this last year, that same friend got me. He's actually one of the guys at Def M Records. So thanks, bud.
Yeah.
He got me a Brazilian or Argentinian maybe release from Joxa. It's the Kenner action figure of the Terminator with the half metal face and half Schwarzenegger face in the leather jacket and
Mhm.
stuff. But he's in like a neon yellow shirt for some reason. And it came packed with a VHS special feature on the movie about the makeup effects.
Ooh.
Yeah. So as much as I would like to watch that tape and see, like, I think my VCR still works. I would love to watch that, but I also like really don't want to open this thing.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of at like, I don't know what to do there.
Yeah.
Um,
So.
but yeah, yeah. And then I did buy a second Blu-ray because the second one came with the digital code. And it was only $5, which was cheaper than paying like $19.99 for a digital copy of the movie, which is what everywhere online was looking to ask me for at the time. I was
Pretty
like,
much.
yeah, I'll go with another Blu-ray and just spend $5. Thanks.
Yep.
So
Cool.
yeah. I don't know. Were there any moments or scenes that stood out to you?
So I admit I really did like the chase scene with them in the wash with the
Yeah.
motorcycle and everything. Also, I will say the way the way that Arnold Schwarzenegger reloads, or like I guess
Yeah.
recocks his gun,
Yeah.
is some of is the most badass handiwork. Because I mean I'm a guard person, so you hand me like a stick or a broom or something like that, and I'll start randomly spinning it.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't think I could do that with a gun like that.
No,
I haven't
not one of
tried, and I'm not
those.
going to try.
Yeah,
But
not one of
still,
those.
it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's man, I don't know how to I don't know guns, so
Yeah.
like I know the minigun because I looked it up, and now that I've closed that window, I already forget what the actual model number of that gun is. Uh, but like yeah, that shotgun, it's one of the ones where like it's the hand pump. It's not it's like the trigger pump
Something,
loading
yeah.
mechanism. If Josh was here, I know he would know what that was called.
Yes.
But yeah, so he reloads it by flipping the gun around with one hand.
Yep.
Which like the amount of force and recoil to do that is crazy. Also, he's doing it on a moving motorcycle.
Yeah.
Like,
But he also does it like several other times when not on a moving motorcycle, and it's still really cool.
yeah.
So, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that scene. I think my favorite though is Sarah's breakout from the mental institution, because
Okay.
I don't think I've ever watched a movie that took place in the 90s that I can recall off the top of my head.
Uh-huh.
Maybe aside from like the Alien movies, but there's very few and far between movies that have a very and I'm gonna use this term again, but badass female.
Sure. Yeah.
And just the mere fact of the matter of just how she how she used a paperclip to escape her bindings and broke
And
out
pick
of
the
her
lock.
room, and
Yeah.
it's just everything about that was just extremely impressive. I haven't seen her in the first movie, so I have no idea if she has that skill or that talent in the first film.
No, in the first movie, she's like this cute little teeny bopper waitress.
Oh,
Like she's almost unrecognizable. It's completely different.
that's interesting. So yeah, then I really enjoy the fact that she kind of goes from
Mm-hmm.
innocent to I can kill you with a snap type of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
it's really impressive because even though the Terminators are the most crazy powerful things in this movie, and that literally nothing can stop them except for molten lava, it's just kind of crazy to think that all of the crap that she takes throughout the movie, and she's still holding her own, and I'm just like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, she's awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed her escape and just how she kind of Mick-wrecked everybody.
Mhm.
And
Did you say Mick
all of that. Huh?
Did you say Mick wrecked?
Yes.
Okay.
It's on the McDonald's a secret menu.
Yeah. Mick wrecked. Yeah. Yeah.
But
no,
yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that scene, and obviously the ending with a
One
thumbs
of
up.
my favorite things about this movie, there's no romance subplot.
Yeah, there isn't.
Like the only like relationship that happens is between John and the Terminator,
Mm-hmm.
right? And even that's kind of more of like a son finding a surrogate father relationship. And him kind of teaching like the machine learning how to be human and learning the value of the human life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there's no romance. There is the deleted scene of Sarah and Kyle, kind of, but even that's 45 seconds long.
Yeah, and it's primarily just
it's her dream.
It's a
It's not
dream.
even like a real thing. Yeah, I mean, as much as anything in a fictional movie is real, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, yeah. Anyways, yeah. So we have like a minute and a half left.
Oh, geez, we were deep diving into this one.
Yeah.
With that summary.
Yeah, it went a little longer than I had planned. I apologize for that, but it's fine. We filled up the time. So
yeah, we did. Check us out on social media.
Yeah.
On Facebook and Twitter at Atomic Monsoon, Instagram at Atomic_Monsoon. Email us at atomicmonsoon@gmail. Check out our Redbubble and us on YouTube if you want, and if you're listening to us on whatever podcatcher, Voice America, or even site you're finding us on, but keep listening to us here and recommend to your friends.
Yeah, and subscribe to us so that you don't miss an episode. Yeah, and rate, give us a nice rating, a nice 5 stars. That'd be great, and leave us a nice review if you could. That would be wonderful.
And tell us, what your opinion is of the Terminator 2 movie.
Yeah, I mean, if you just want to say Andy's right, this is the greatest movie of all time, or at least this is the greatest sequel of all time, that I wouldn't be opposed to that. Also, real quick, I just want to say on my personal website, psychoandy.com, psychoandy.com, for the month of October, I am updating every morning with some drawing of a monster that I have done in the past. And then at some point during the day, once I'm done with my actual work stuff, with a new drawing as part of the Inktober challenge, which is to draw something in ink every day for the month of October.
Ooh.
So I am doing 2 updates a day on psychoandy.com. So for any of the listeners that want to know what my artwork looks like, obviously you can go to voiceamerica.com, and a lot of the show banners on there, probably a little over half of them at this point, are mine. Some of the older shows are, from before I got there, and some of our other hosts have their own teams that do graphics for them. But so there's some of my graphic designs. But if you want to see what my illustration stuff looks like, you can go to my personal website, like I said, psychoandy.com. Check out kind of the weird monster stuff that I've drawn over the last I think one of them's like 15 years old, or one of them I think is like 20 years old. It's just like, wow. I found this crazy old drawing of a monster. But yeah, so just figured I'd throw myself out a little plug there.
Yeah, no, do it.
Yeah.
I mean, a while back I was plugging my friends at Mischief and Madness, which still check those guys out because they're still doing Twitch streams pretty much every other day, every day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So go check them out. But yeah, no. Well, Andy, thank you for I don't want to say finally introducing me to Terminator 2. I had been meaning to watch it since I experienced it at Universal in 2011. But thank you for allowing me the ability to watch it, and it was fun to talk about this. And it's crazy. We mentioned that because it's October, because you mentioned Inktober. I've been going back and I've been re-listening to some old episodes of Atomic Monsoon and everything like that, and it's weird. This time last year, it was Transformers month.
It's true. Yeah. I'm not doing that again this year.
No. So don't expect it, guys.
No.
But
no, but we if all goes according to plan, we should have a special guest next week. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned for who it will be.
All right, guys. Be safe out there.
Hasta la vista, baby.